On this episode of Mom Sipping Sangria,
I am a former burnout survivor that actually found naturopathic medicine as a way to heal myself.
Okay, let's do it.
Hello. So nice you are here joining us on Mom's Sipping Sangria. I am Sheila Walsh.
And I'm Anita Reynolds MacArthur. And this sparkling cherry sangria is quite nice, Sheila. Am I right?
You are right. You got your sparkles, you got your cherries, you got your sangria.
Where are we going with this, Sheila?
I will tell you where we are going with this. We are taking back control today, Anita. We are going to tackle being burned out. Oh my gosh, because so many of us are. And, once you recognize it, the question is, now what? So we want to know how we start taking back control and getting that energy back. And today we're going to look at starting from the inside out. We're going to talk to a naturopathic doctor for some insight.
So last episode, Sheila, we spoke with Sarah Vermont of Careergasm, who was telling us that she reached a point in her career where she just couldn't do what she was doing for another second. She had a breakdown in the middle of Starbucks, quit what appeared to be an amazing job on paper, and we all know those jobs. Okay, but I digress. And then she started her business, doing what she felt was always meant to be Careergasm.
Right. And sometimes, we can't always be that bold or brazen. And, a lot of people, I know in my circles and in your circles too, they have that feeling, but they can't walk away from that job. There are mitigating circumstances. So they're stuck in it. So I guess today what we want to explore a bit more is burnout and what you can do. If you're in that stage, you can't walk away, what can you do? What control can you have?
I absolutely understand where you're coming from with the whole burnout. I mean, it got me to a certain level where push came to shove, and I really didn't have I feel I didn't have a choice in the matter with the life event that happened. So you, Sheila, you mentioned that you had a burnout a few years ago.
Yeah, I mean, a few times a few years ago, but for sure, I was working two very demanding jobs within the same organization. I agreed to be on a few committees and boards and volunteer because God forbid we ever say no when we're feeling burned out. We take more on.
Absolutely, right?
Why do we sabotage ourselves? Anywho, on top of that, I was finishing up my master's degree. I had steady freelance work. Of course, those raising three kids, is a full-time job.
And one of them was a little baby still in diapers at the time.
So burned out, you bet. And could I walk away from the situation? No. I could feel the warning signs that I was getting to a place where, I was going to ball up in a little corner and start rocking back and forth. So what can I control? What can I do to make the situation that I can't change better? So for me, I started to go on a little bit of a checklist. Okay. I went to my doctor for a physical. That seemed okay. I went and got, a sleep doctor because my sleeping patterns were messed up. That was okay. No major apnea. Went to, my knees were killing me. My feet were killing me. So I went to a podiatrist. My feet were okay. So then I thought, I'm going to try something I haven't tried before, a naturopathic doctor. Went to a naturopathic doctor who, analyzed blood, said, you're low on this, you're low on this, you're low on this. So I started taking vitamins and supplements, and all of a sudden, didn't I get some energy back? That led to better clarity, that led to better sleep, that led to exercise. So if I didn't have that missing piece of that naturopathic doctor, I probably would have still be in that corner right there, rocking back and forth. So I think it's really important. And you too have a naturopathic doctor made a huge change in your life.
I'm a huge fan of naturopathic doctors. Gosh, at least 5 years ago, I guess. Similar things. I was having, my body just felt like it was breaking down. But the regular doctor was saying, you're fine. I just almost similar checklist to what you did, Sheila. And then I started doing some research, and a naturopathic doctor seemed like the right fit for me. And boy, did they ever get me back on the right track.
So guess what? We have a naturopathic doctor joining us today.
Woohoo!
Because Dr. Christina, you probably see a lot of this kind of burnout in what you do every day. And how are you helping them?
Yeah, well, I think we always want a magic pill, right? And unfortunately, there isn't just one thing that works for everyone, but it's understanding what are the barriers that are holding me back, both physically and mentally. So sometimes you're not having the right fuel or not having enough hydration, or maybe I'm just like literally down in some of the vitamins that burn out very commonly in stress. And those actually make a big difference in how I feel. Or maybe my thyroid got burned out in the whole process and I'm just running like on 2 instead of on 10. So it's about really helping someone to understand their body and what we can do to make those parts of it work better, more effectively for that person.
Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and what a naturopathic doctor specifically does?
One of the best ways I describe it to people is medical doctors do an amazing job at things like cancer, or I need stitches, I have a broken arm, something feels horribly wrong. They don't have a lot of tools in their toolbox for things like, I'm tired, my hair's falling out, I feel really stressed, I'm not as clear as I used to be, my mood is really low, I'm waking up at night. So the tools are a little bit less impactful for people because they're really restricted to a lot of medications and unfortunately don't have enough time to spend with you to talk about diet and lifestyle and vitamins and other tools. And I think that's where naturopaths kind of come into play, is that our training is very similar, but our toolbox is a bit different.
So are you able to talk a little bit when you said, you're a burnout survivor, what were the symptoms that you were specifically experiencing, and, maybe people can kind of identify with that?
Yeah. So I was in a completely different industry. I had a horrible time waking up in the morning. So I felt like I was always like, when you travel, you get sort of that jet lag feeling. So that jet lag feeling was my everyday. I would wake up at night just suddenly like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning as though I was ready to start my day and maybe had only slept for 2 or 3 hours. I particularly had a lot of physical symptoms. So I had like a beard of acne around my chin, and the right side of my hair, actually most of it in the front quarter, fell out.
Wow.
I'd gained a lot of weight. I went to my medical doctor and I was like, something's not quite right. And she's like, well, your blood test looked normal, everything looks great. And I was like, yeah, but I don't feel so great. And she didn't really have a lot of tools for me. And that was when I found my very first naturopath, who was like, whoa, things are going awry. Like, here's how we need to get you back on track.
That sounds so much like both of our stories, right, Anita? We're just talking about that.
Especially even like for myself, I did the same. I had the same thing with the hair that you had mentioned, and also the breakout along the chin line. That's for sure. The jawline totally was me as well. When you decided to make that shift, like what prompted you to go down the naturopathic doctor field? Because you were in marketing originally, were you not?
Yeah. So it was a really interesting story. I worked in a number of marketing advertising agencies. And then I was working in a children's hospital doing something called knowledge translation, which is taking research and making it into tools that children can use to understand. So my dad has depression. What does that mean to my family? From there, the doctor I worked for said, you actually understand research better than most of the doctors I work with. He said, why aren't you a doctor? And I was like, I was already, I think at the time I was 32. I was like, I'm 32. I've already made my career decisions. I've been doing this for a while. And he's like, I think you should reconsider. And so that actually was a big thing for me, because he was really a well-renowned, respected doctor. And he was like, you're doing the wrong thing, sort of. And from there, I actually kind of looked at what was the pathway in the medical system and what other alternatives were there. And the thing that really swayed me was that 7 minutes just isn't enough time for me to help someone in the way that I wanted them to be able to be helped. And so the profession that afforded me that opportunity was more in the naturopathic profession.
I love that. And I love that you're paying it forward, because I read on your website that you remove obstacles that are holding you back from success by helping your brain work more effectively, increasing creativity, productivity, and the ability to live life to the fullest. And so many people are desperate for that these days. So would you recommend the course you'd check in with the medical doctor first and then yourself, or is it going to be different for everybody?
Lots of people will go to their medical doctors and get things like B12, iron, vitamin D, thyroid tested. Often they fall within the reference ranges, because some of them, the ranges are very large. So ferritin, the ranges from 5 to 272. Obviously, we would feel a lot different at 6 than we might at 100 or 200. Right. So sometimes it's even giving some of those context that helps people you don't have to be at the end. Our medication system is truly based on end-term results. So I have a completely dysfunctional thyroid, and that's when I get a medication for it. I have cancer, and that's when I deal with it. What I'm trying to do for people is catch stuff before it becomes the end stage. Everyone doesn't have to have a chin, beard of acne, and hair falling out before we say, "Ooh, I think your adrenals need some support," or your stress is taking over some of the health in your body.
Well, you're preaching to the choir here, because we both have benefited hugely from naturopathic medicine. And if people want to explore this naturopathic way and visit you, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so my website is healingme.ca, so HealingMe.ca. I have a practice in Toronto and one in King City, but I see lots of patients across Ontario virtually. So I have a video portal window. We do lots of phone calls and video visits for people. So, and I think that the most important thing is just finding someone that you feel like you trust and you gel with, and they give you information that feels like you can enact on that, because that's half of the journey, is trusting whoever it is you're working with, whether that's your medical doctor, your dentist, your nurse practitioner, or your banker.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, you make a lot of sense, Dr. Christina Carew, and thank you so much for joining us today on Mom's Sipping Sangria. Okay, so Anita, up next we have our hot topic, and it's a doozy. Ooh. I'm not going to lie. Actually, I am lying. It's not really that important, but I want to get your reaction anyway. So I have browsed news and information highway. I have come up with a story, and I'm going to tell it to you right here for the first time and get your gut reaction.
Gut reaction only.
Gut reaction.
Okay.
This is out of NPR from New York.
What's NPR, Sheila?
Oh, National Public Radio. It's like the American version of CBC.
Oh, okay.
So as we know, it doesn't have to be in New York. It's here too.
Okay.
Square footage, renting an apartment. It's crazy. So whether you're in Canada, in the States, wherever you're listening to us, I'm sure there is a city close by that it's tough to get a reasonable rent because it's in such high demand. Well, this is how two Manhattan landlords solved the problem, and they got in trouble for it, okay?
Oh.
So two Manhattan landlords took an unusual and illegal way of doing this. They created from their two condos 18 tiny apartments.
No way!
So picture from floor to ceiling, you have, let's say, 10 feet.
Right.
They sliced that in half. So each floor was now 5 feet or 4.5 feet. And then they transformed each of those two floors into a total of 18 apartments in one condo.
18.
Is that not insane?
So what square footage are we looking at, Sheila?
We're looking at 70 square feet per apartment.
Now, they weren't able to rent these.
Yes, they were filled. So one of the neighbors...
they were filled?
They were filled. So they complained, obviously. Inspectors came in and, the inspectors who were inspecting had to actually be on their knees to go to each of the tiny apartments.
No way.
Is that not insane?
I did not hear that.
Now, because we've both been to New York, and I love New York, but people I know who live there, they pay astronomical amounts of rent. So
Crazy
this
fees.
was $600. Right, which is
Okay.
affordable in New
That
York,
is
as you can
affordable.
imagine. But it's 70 square feet, and you
Oh
have to
my
crawl into your
gosh.
apartment. It's like sleeping in like a storage closet that's been cut in half,
That is nuts.
So there's two Manhattan landlords. So each of them got $140,000 USD, which is what, $7 million Canadian
Right.
fine. And the tenants were relocated by the American Red Cross. Now, tell me that's not an issue.
Oh my gosh, that is crazy. I've actually never heard of anything that nuts. And the fact that, okay, it's one thing for them to have been able to slice and dice these apartments down into these tiny little shoe boxes, but for people to actually think that this is okay and for them to pay these landlords these fees, that's crazy to me.
So that just goes to show you, like, there are some people who are so desperate. And I look around at the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area, if you're not in Toronto listening to us, and I'm thinking, like, my kids aren't going to be able to afford to live here. I mean, it's a real issue. So I can see how something like this could happen.
Yeah. Boy, oh boy. Okay, well, my turn is up next time. I'll come in with a hot topic and I'll pass it by you. And actually, if you listening out there, if you have an idea for a hot topic, please send it by us. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, Twitter. Just give us a shout out saying, I've got a hot topic idea, and we will we'll certainly ponder it. And maybe you'll hear it on one of our episodes.
Of Mom Sipping Sangria.
That's right, Anita. So now, Anita, it is time to go to confession, where you are going to come clean on something that you have been hiding away. The real Anita will be exposed today. What is your confession for this week?
Okay, well, first of all, I didn't want to have to go here already. How did we get to this part of the podcast already?
Oh, just time flies when you're having fun.
I'm telling you. Okay, so this was actually a source of stress because there are like a few confessions out there that I've obviously been like holding in and you don't want to talk about. But at the same time, this one I thought was kind of apropos with the topic that we had today with a naturopath and that kind of thing. So a few years back when I had mentioned that I had started using a naturopath, it was because my body was literally breaking down. And like I said, a family doctor was telling me that I was fine, So anyways, this naturopathic doctor was able to figure out that I'm actually allergic to a lot of different foods that I had no idea that I was allergic to. So we had to remove all of those. And so now basically my diet is meat and vegetables and taking out grains, taking out a bunch of stuff, eggs, blah, blah. So I call myself a megan. I'm a meat-eating vegan, Sheila.
Because you have no choice.
I have no choice.
Otherwise,
now,
you'd be eating...
I have to tell you, and I'm sorry for people out there who are living these lifestyles, but if you are a vegan or if you are vegetarian, totally cool on you, but I need to have a term for myself, and my term is a megan because I can eat meat and I can have all those vegetables and fruits, but there are so many things that I cannot have.
I applaud you for naming a new thing that I think is going to start trending. You know what? And that's the reality. Some things are a choice and they make a lot of sense to people, and some things aren't a choice, and you've just gotta you gotta do what you gotta do.
So I have to start a megan movement. Anybody out there, please let us know that I'm not alone.
Megan. I love it. No, that's excellent, and I'm glad you figured that out because you can still eat chocolate though, right? Because,
I can, as long as there's no dairy in it.
Oh, okay. That's another topic as well. Okay, on that note, we are done for today, and we know how crazy and busy life can be with everyone pulling at you for your time and attention. We just talked about it, so we are really glad you made some time to hang out with us today.
We have our quote to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's next.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I got to get it.
Okay. I'm keeping all this in.
Oh, no.
I totally am.
You're such a brat. Sheila's a brat. Okay, so before we go, we're going to leave you with a quote and ask you who said that.
Okay.
Okay? Mm-hmm. Okay, so here goes. Having children is like living in a frat house. Nobody sleeps, everything's broken, and there's a lot of throwing up. Who said that?
So many parenting people I can see saying that because it's true. Is that Jim Gaffigan?
Oh, that would have been a good guess. No, it's Ray Romano.
Oh, I told that was my next guess.
Ray Romano. Remember Ray Romano?
That's the best show. Everybody loves Raymond.
Everybody loves Raymond.
Everybody loves him. Cool. Well, and that's true. And it's a lot of fun. It's throw up. It's crazy. But you know what? Between the two of us, Anita, we have 6 kids. I wouldn't change it. And I love the chaos.
Absolutely.
We're embracing it. We're going to go have some sangria. Till next time, have a good one.
Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and like us on Instagram.
We are Moms Sipping Sangria.
Cha-cha-cha. Woohoo. Hello.